Welcome back, everybody, to another exhilarating Cult Room episode of Lockdown 23-in-1. I popped a pimple the other day, and look at the bruise it left on my nose. Unreal, right? Someone's gotta get smoked for this today. Speaking of which, I found me some new smoke effects. Some are light clouds, and others are very thick. So be on the lookout for those in the future. But anyways, today, we're gonna witness a monster get sentenced to a lot of time. A cardiologist, believe it or not. I know, crazy, huh? You can't trust anyone these days. As always, though, before we get into it, if you enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Alright, so today we're going to be traveling all the way to Denver, Colorado. Like I said, to witness the sentencing of Stephen Matthews. In August, a jury convicted Matthews of luring women to his West Denver townhouse while on dates. He met the women on popular dating apps. Many of the women said they had only sporadic memories of what happened after they had drinks with Matthews. Some testified they gained consciousness and found themselves naked in the bed with Matthews, who was taking advantage of them sexually. 21 people give victim impact statements before the sentencing. Well, first and foremost, shout out to the victims for having the courage to come up and say something about this cardiologist. This guy's a true monster, and like I said, today we're going to witness a long prison sentence. It's going to be very satisfying for many. I know that he's going to end up crying in the video, but I haven't seen it yet. I'm really looking forward to it, not going to lie.
Well, there's a whole lot to unpack. It's late, and I won't do a lot, except just to begin with, contrary to other assertions, the evidence in this case is overwhelming. The evidence of guilt is patently overwhelming. And in here today, there is a room full of pain. And this is pain that you have caused your victims. So much suffering, none of it deserved. I also acknowledge in this room full of pain, your family, and that you have caused them to suffer. Your family had to hear the anger and the pain that you caused victims directed at them. Your family just wanted to be proud of you and to love you, and they will still love you. To mom, stepfather, father, I get it. As a parent, they're always going to love you. But the shame you have brought on them will be a heavy burden that they will bear the rest of their lives. And I'm sure they raise you better. Mr. Steinke, I do thank you for your grace and your sensitivity that you exhibited in your statement. Mrs. Matthews, the Mr. instead of doctor is not a slight or an insult. It's a practice I have. Everybody who comes in front of me, unless they're a doctor on the witness stand, is Mr. or Miss. I've had judges on juries that I refer to as Mr. and Miss instead of Your Honor, and doctors who are on the jury that I refer to as Mr. and Miss. That's not an insult.
A good judge always checks his ends. Who knows, someone could have came with a loophole later on. Could say that he was disrespecting him by not calling him doctor. Then you got a whole new trial. I doubt that could ever be the case, but who knows? A good judge always checks his ends, especially one with a bow tie. You know they're precise. Terrifying at the same time, though.
Mr. Matthews, you have diminished this world. You have dimmed many of its lights.
Yep.
You've hurt our society, and it's a darker place because of you.
Yep.
You brought disgrace upon yourself. You brought disgrace upon that name that was given to you, that was pure and clean the day your parents gave it to you. You've even managed to ruin dating applications. What should have been technology with a really fun upside, the opportunity to meet people you couldn't otherwise meet, maybe fall in love, maybe have a family. Now it's just something else for young girls and young women to fear as another danger zone. I see my understanding is that some of my jurors are listening. I want to thank you again for the service in this case. They sacrificed 1 month of their life to do their duty to our system under our Constitution. Their sacrifice cannot be appreciated enough. You listened to the evidence. You held the prosecution to their burden of proof. You did your duty, and I thank you.
Well said, Your Honor. Well said.
You know, Mr. Cohen, in your closing argument, you again mentioned that these women went to his apartment and they drank. Good Lord, I wish this trial had been videotaped, and I wish a tape of this trial could be played in every university and that everybody in this country could watch it, because we have been programmed to believe that victims will act a certain way. And if there's anything this case proved, beyond your guilt, beyond a reasonable doubt, was that how we think victims are going to react is 100% wrong. How we think they should act is completely misguided. And if anybody thinks they know how they are going to react until they are faced with the pressure and in that situation, you have no idea. You're completely wrong.
He's right, and a lot of people, they don't come forward with what happened to them until someone else does. Opens up the window, pumps a little bravery to everybody else, and the chain reaction begins. That's typically what happens with cases in the past that I've followed where there's multiple victims. Not to mention when things like this happen to people, sometimes they say to themselves, there's no way. There's no way something like this just happened to me. And they keep saying that to themselves to move forward with life peacefully. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of different ways that victims react to this situation.
Very briefly, to the victims, I started my career out in Jefferson County, and this was not my case, but I was in the office when Detective Stacy Galbraith of the Golden Police Department and Detective Edna Hendershot of the Westminster Police Department believed a victim. And I was in the courtroom when the judge sentenced Mark O'Leary, a serial rapist. And it's now a Netflix series called Unbelievable.
You need to check
and now
that out.
I find myself having presided over this trial. I'll add Detective Jennifer Lott and Detective Andrew Como to names I will remember. And look, you were heard. You were believed. The verdict says that. And the Venn diagram between not proven and innocent is not a circle. As I sit up here in this robe, I am not Eric Johnson. I represent the law. I represent the rule of law. I represent society. And it does fall to me to hand out punishment, and a punishment that's commensurate with the social contract breaches you have so egregiously done. I will sentence. I cannot heal.
That's a
Many
good
of
piece.
you are here for closure. I hate to disappoint you, but I will not be able to provide you closure. Closure will come from within. It will come from you. It will come from your family. The best thing you can do is live well, be happy, and I wish you peace. As a preliminary issue, I know I heard from some victims of non-charged testimony. I appreciate the statements, but under our law, I cannot consider uncharged the statements, so I'm not.
Playing by the book.
As I said, I will issue a sentencing order. I calculate the maximum, as I have indicated, if the sex assaults do merge into one as to each victim. The second degree does not. The maximum is 158 years.
Cue it, Bobby. Warm that smoke
You
button
will have
up.
to register as a sex offender. I will not waive any fines or costs. You can pay those. I will declare you indigent. You may proceed in form of paupers, and I will appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you in your appeal.
So did he get 158 years?
Pursuant to 18.3.414.5, The evidence is that you are over 18 years of age. You have been convicted of a statutorily listed crime. The victims to you were strangers. In today's day and age, where we live in a world of social media where the word friend is bastardized, the fact that you had chatted with somebody over a week or a month does not suddenly mean they're not a stranger to you. People be Hunter 307 P3rd 1083. The victim there had dinner with the perpetrator and was still deemed a stranger. These women were strangers to you. Or at the very least, you promoted the relationship primarily for the purpose of sexual victimization.
Yep.
And finally, given the totality of the evidence in this case, I find it not difficult at all to believe that you would subsequently commit one or more offense if you were released. So you are deemed a sexually violent predator.
Oh, man. Smokeville, USA.
There was a lot of talk by Mr. Cohen about proportionality. And I acknowledge that when we start talking about some of these numbers, it does start to sound silly. But then we put that into perspective. The reality is we don't have truth in sentencing, and he's probably looking at doing 35% of his time.
30% of his time.
So that's some other way to look at that and put things into perspective.
Man, who is this guy looking like Wes Watson with the sunburn? But I gotta stop it really quick, alright? I don't know if he's gotten 158 years yet or not, but the judge did say chances are he's gonna have to do 30% of his time, which is not much at all. You know, over in Virginia, we had to do, 87% of it? You got like a few months off of a year for good time. Chances are you're gonna lose that if you don't make your bed every single day. Get a little right up, man. You're doing day for day, but 30%? That's what I call Sweetville.
When considering multiple consecutive sentencings, the case law is very clear. Wells Yates v. People, Lucero v. People, the attorneys are familiar with these cases. The courts should consider each individual sentence, not the aggregate sentence. So it's easy to get lost in the weeds of 200, 100. But when we look at one woman, 12 years is an infinitely reasonable sentence. On the count 26, the third-degree assault charge, I am going to sentence you to 2 years in the county jail. Pursuant to 18.1.35011C, I do determine after consideration of all the relevant facts and circumstances that a concurrent sentence is not warranted, and I order that the misdemeanor sentence be served prior to the sentence to be served in DOC and prior to the time that you are transported to the Department of Corrections to serve all of your other state correctional facility sentences. After that, on counts 13 and 14, I'm going to sentence you in each of those to 6 years in the Department of Corrections. Those are consecutive to each other and consecutive to the third-degree assault. There are 3 years of period of parole as to those. 12, 18, 22, 30, 34, and 38. These are the second-degree assault charges. I'm going to sentence you to 6 years on each count, consecutive to each other and consecutive to all other sentences. There are a 3-year period of parole as to those counts. On counts 1, 5, 9, 15, 19, 27, 31, and 35.
Jeez.
These are the sexual assault charges. 8 sexual assault charges. 12 years on each charge.
Wow.
It would be improper. It would depreciate what you have done, the heinousness of your crimes, if you did not serve a sentence for each victim individually. So that is 12 years times 8. Each of these are to be consecutive to each other, consecutive to the second-degree assaults, consecutive to the third-degree assault, for a total of 96 years, and that is those are the indeterminate sentences. The total number of years are 158 years in prison, This matter is concluded. You're remanded.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I got kinda clickbaited on that one. The thumbnail had him crying. But it turns out he didn't cry during sentencing, he cried during the guilty verdict.
That I will one day be able to hug you and see you on the other side of these walls.
Those tears right there, I can guarantee, are only for himself. But yeah, Bobby, go ahead and tap it one more time for me. 12 years times 8 plus a few 6 pieces and a couple deuces. Good riddance, buddy. But that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Not too much to learn from this one. Like I said in the intro, just highly satisfying. Stay tuned though, I got plenty more courtroom sentencings coming your way. Not to mention some montages, I haven't tapped into that in a while. And I've been procrastinating, but we'll be dropping more content on my second channel, 23 and Fun, today or tomorrow. Not quite sure, I'm running off of like 3.5 hours of sleep right now. Me and Brittany were driving all through the night, man. We seen a bad accident too. It seems like every time we go out, we see something wild in them streets. And I got almost all of it recorded. So I got so many crazy clips out here in the wild East Tennessee that I need to upload on my second channel. So be on the lookout for that. A lot lined up for the future, and we're rounding third base for 1 million subscribers. That's right, man. We're almost there. It's been a long, long road, man. I had no idea it'd take about 9 years. I was thinking about how it started, maybe like 2. But you know, the best gold is purified quite a bit. Take some time. But as always, until the next time, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.